Namaste everyone, welcome to my channel. I have seen that people these days are having a lot of questions about the transits and they're afraid of the upcoming Saturn transit in Pisces, how it affects their chart individually based on the ascendants or moon sign. In today's video, I would like to explain you a technique using which you can yourself know and analyze the impact of this transit. So stay tuned. We see that people are terrified about Sade Sati, especially due to the Saturn's movement to Pisces. And also, you know that Saturn is a slow moving planet and it stays for 2.5 years. So people are really terrified on how the impact would be on their lives. But there is no reason to be terrified because the impact would never be same for every individual. First things first, don't go by the generalized predictions because you cannot divide the whole population of 8 billion into 12 zodiac signs and believe that every person will have similar kind of experiences in their life. It's not the same. That's not what Vedic astrology stands for. Vedic astrology is much deeper. There are a lot of things to consider, like
the Dashas,
which are Mahadasha, Antardasha and Pratyantardasha, and these planets, how they are placed in your chart, and what is the position of the planet transiting with respect to its natal position, and also the divisional charts which change like every few minutes. And so there are a lot of such things to see. Even twins, they won't have same experience because the divisional charts, they like change within few minutes. So like every person in this world has unique fingerprint. Similarly, every person's birth chart is different and it's completely unique, and experiences will also be very unique. So I urge everyone to at least know some basics of astrology, because when you go to an astrologer, you and the astrologer both have limited amount of time and only few questions can be answered. If you know your own birth chart, then you can check some basic stuff and also take necessary precautions. So in today's video, I would like to explain the snapshot technique using which you can analyze any kind of transit, not just Saturn, but also Jupiter, Venus, whatever Mahadasha, Pratyantardasha or Antardasha planets you are going through. You can check the transits of any planet using this technique. Learning this technique is very important because sometimes you might have noticed that you have an exalted planet in your chart and you wait for the period to come, and when it comes, you see that the great things which you expect don't happen. So using this snapshot method, I'm going to explain you which will guide you better. Only thing you would need is a Jyotish software on your laptop. I recommend you can start using Jagannatha Hora, which is a software created by PVR Narasimha Raoji, and he was very kind enough to make this software free for public. So you can start using that, and if you can spend some money on licenses, then you can even buy Sri Jyoti Star or Parashara Light. I personally use Sri Jyoti Star, and I don't recommend using any phone apps because most of them I have seen in my experience are not very reliable. They even give wrong ascendants. But if you're a beginner and if you really want to use only phone to check things quickly, then I would suggest using Jyotish app, which I found that it is at least 90% reliable. So you can start with that if you don't want to install any software on your laptop. And I have pasted all the links of the softwares in the description. You can use that to download. So this is all you need, and then you are set to go. It's very simple. I'll explain you the technique now. So the snapshot technique which I want to explain today is Ashtakavarga. This is introduced by the ancient sage Parashara and is also noted in the classic book of Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra. Also in Phaladipika, which is another classic of astrology, it has been mentioned that all the great rishis give high importance to Ashtakavarga in determining the effects of transits of planets through various zodiac signs. Also, my Guruji Sri K.N. Raoji refers Ashtakavarga as dots of destiny. He says that any person can attain
success.
He needs to have three things. First thing is to have Raja Yogas and Dhanya Yogas in the person's chart. Second is to get the Dasha at the right time. Lastly, the extent of such attainment could only be determined by Ashtakavarga along with the transit of Saturn and Jupiter. So that's how much importance Ashtakavarga has been given in our classics and also by various world-renowned astrologers. So let's get into the technique now. So first of all, what's Ashtakavarga? I'll give a brief. So every planet gives certain points with respect to its position to all the other signs. So that score is called Bhinnashtakavarga of each planet. When you combine all the Bhinnashtakavarga score, then it becomes Sarvashtakavarga score of that particular house. I'll make a detailed video of Ashtaka Varga in another video, but in this video I'll only explain you quickly how to check the transit impacts. So there is a certain score given for Ashtaka Varga. So you have like total 337 points. If you divide it by 12, then each house gets 28 points. So you should remember that 28 is the number, is the score, which every house should have as a minimum number of points to be able to get positive things out of that house. If you have lesser points, then that means you need to put more efforts in that particular house. So when a planet is transiting in a sign, check the Bhinnashtaka Varga score of that particular planet, and if you see it is below 4, then that means there would be a lot of challenges in that period, and the lower the score goes, more would be the challenges. So if you have like 3, then there will be definitely some challenges, but if it is 2 or 1 or 0, then the challenges really increase. So this score you should check first, and then check the Sarvashtaka Varga of that particular house where the planet is transiting to. If that house has 28 points or more than 28, then you don't need to worry much. You will still be able to go through the transit smoothly. There will be some obstacles here and there, but it won't be as difficult as you think. If you see that both Sarvashtaka Varga score and Bhinnashtaka Varga score is low, like the Bhinnashtaka Varga score is less than 4 and the Sarvashtaka Varga score is also less than 28, for that particular house where the planet is transiting in, then you should really take a lot of precautions during that time. At the end of this video, I have covered some remedies, especially for the upcoming Saturn transit. So similarly, you have to perform remedies for other planet transits if they're not favorable for you. Now that you know how to see the scores, the next step is to analyze in which house the transit is happening and what is that house with respect to your natal ascendant and the natal moon sign. Finding out that, you will know that area which will be impacted during that phase. Then you will get more hints on what to do, how to take precautions for that particular house. So also wanted to give a brief about Sade Sati. So Sade Sati is a 7.5 year transit of Saturn through 12th and 1st and 2nd house from the moon sign. So it ends when it gets to the 3rd house from the moon. So this 7.5 period is divided into 3 phases, like 2.5 years in the 12th house, 2.5 years in the moon sign, 2.5 years in the 2nd from the moon sign. So the 7.5 years is divided like that. And as explained in the Bhinnashtaka Varga scores, you need to check for each phase how it is going to be. If your moon is in Aries, then you are going to enter this 7.5 year Sade Sati period. So now check the score when Saturn enters Pisces this March end. Check how much is the Bhinnashtaka Varga score of that particular house. Then that would define how the next 2.5 years is going to be. And for the second phase of Sade Sati, you check when Saturn enters your moon sign, which is in Aries, and then you see the Bhinnashtaka Varga score. That would determine the second phase of Sade Sati, which is 2.5 year period again, how that's going to be. And then when Saturn enters Taurus, that is the last phase of Sade Sati for you, and then you see again the Bhinnashtaka Varga score and determine how that is going to be. One most important fact which a lot of people forget is how much the transits impact. Are the transits more important or the dashas? The dashas are most important thing in your life, in your birth chart. So that dashas determine everything. That is like which kind of event will happen, what are the important things during this phase of your life. And the transits are like 10 to 20% of impact when compared to the dashas. Especially when you want to analyze the impact of transit, you should check the transits of the planets involved in the Mahadasha, Antardasha and the Pratyantardasha phases. So for instance, if you're going to start Sade Sati and Saturn is not involved in any of these 3 dashas, then you really not have to worry much. The impact of the Sade Sati, even if you have lower score in the Sarvashtaka Varga or Dashtaka Varga, it won't impact you much. The most important things are the Dasha planets. So please don't go by these generalized predictions which are being circulated in YouTube and everywhere, and don't get terrified about it. That's my sincere request. So just check what's your own birth chart and how the impact of that transit is going to be, and are you really going through that Dasha, Antardasha or Pratyantardasha during that time. So as a summary, you should check the scores, Sarvashtaka Varga and Bhinnashtaka Varga scores of the planets which are involved in your dashas. And of course, Saturn and Jupiter play some percentage part of it, because they are like slow moving planets and they determine a lot of events. So you should check about it, but it won't be as impactful as a person going through Saturn Mahadasha or Antardasha, and he himself again also going through Sade Sati and having low Bhinnashtaka score and Sarvashtaka score, then you should take all the precautions. Even then, you shouldn't be terrified. I'll explain why and what you should do to get out of this phase smoothly. Now let's go through some example charts where I will show you how to see the Sarvashtaka Varga score and Ashtaka Varga score very easily. At the end of this video, I'll explain the same extraction of Ashtaka Varga and Sarvashtaka Varga scores in Jagannatha Hora software as well as Jyotish app in the mobile. So let's check one chart now. I have opened Donald Trump's chart. As you can see, he is Leo ascendant and his moon is in Scorpio. And so his Sade Sati must have been when Saturn entered Libra, and then also when Saturn moved out of Sagittarius, then his Sade Sati would have ended. Now let's see his score. So let's check this Bhinnashtaka Varga score, which I'm pointing here. So here you see it is 2 in the Libra. So that means he must have faced a lot of difficulties in the initial phase. But as soon as Saturn entered Scorpio, he had started his preparation for presidency. And also see the Sarvashtaka Varga score, it has 30 points. So both Sarvashtaka Varga score was good and also this. So see how Saturn gave him highest possible position in a country which is a president in the United States. So that's how Saturn is. That's why if Sade Sati is so fearful, then he wouldn't have achieved that status. So that's what I'm trying to explain. That's not all Sade Satis are bad. So analyze your own chart and see how it is. So I don't rely on the generalized predictions. Now let's see Jagannatha Hora. So this is Jagannatha Hora. So if you can see it very clearly here, it is given in the first page itself. Yes, this is the Sarvashtaka Varga score, and these are each planet's Bhinnashtaka Varga score. So if you want to check Saturn's, then you have to see here. And currently Saturn is here for this person. I just took a random timing here. You can see the Saturn score is 3. So that means currently what's going through must be a bit difficult. But as soon as Saturn enters Pisces and then Aries, then the next 5 years phase would be really nice and smooth. And when you see the score is same in all the houses, like for some cases I have seen 4, 4, 4 as in the 3 houses where Saturn transits as per the Sade Sati rules. In all those 3 houses, if you have the same number of score, then you won't have ups and downs. But if you see that in the first house, if it is like 4 and the next house it is like 2 and the third house it is like 3, then that means there will be some ups and downs. Like in the first phase will be good, the second phase will be bad, and the third phase will be little bit better. So for example, if you have like 4 in the first phase and first house. So for example, if you are a Pisces moon sign person, and if you have the scores of Aquarius, Pisces and Aries as 5, 4 and 2, then that means that your first phase will be excellent because it has 5 points more than 4. Then Saturn will try to give you all kinds of best things. And then in the second phase, it will be slightly drip because it is 4, but it's still okay. It's not bad. But then when it enters Aries, where you have 2, and that is the phase when you need to be careful. Don't take any risky decisions. Now let's check Jyotish app. So as you can see on the phone, go to this tab and do a drop down. In the drop down, you will find all the options where it gives you the list of all possibilities like the Sarvashtaka Varga score or the Bhinnashtaka Varga scores of other planets. So based on this, you just click on it and then check the score. That's it. So coming to the remedies of Saturn transit, which is the main topic of today's video. So first understand what Saturn is. So Saturn is a karmic planet. It is like a judge. It keeps monitoring you. It keeps a check on you. Okay, what this person is doing. Is the person working hard? Is the person disciplined or not? Is the person taking any shortcuts in their life? These kind of things is what Saturn observes. And then when the Sade Sati comes, or when you are going through that Saturn periods, that is when it will show you its results. So before even Saturn period starts, be hardworking and disciplined because Saturn just needs that. If it is satisfied with your hard work and discipline, that's it. It won't trouble you and it will give you the best extraordinary results which none other planet can give. So that's the power of Saturn. So whenever a person is going through Sade Sati, he or she will get more responsibilities. Some could be all of a sudden, like one of the team member could be leaving, and suddenly your boss says, okay, you have to take up the other person's work along with your work. So there are a lot of responsibilities. And one thing you should remember during this phase is, don't question why me, why I have to work so hard, why just me in the entire team. Don't do all that, because it will only lead to frustration. Just think that, okay, this is what Saturn has given you, and just take up the responsibilities, because Saturn loves responsibilities. He loves giving you more and more responsibilities. He wants to test your level. He wants to push you. He wants to make you a best version of yourself. So that's what it is. So don't be afraid of responsibilities. Be prepared that there will be a lot of responsibilities. Take it up. It could be in personal life as well as professional life. But be prepared for that whenever Sade Sati comes, or whenever you are going through Saturn periods. This is inevitable. Sometimes you might wonder, like, I have worked so much and the other person doesn't even work hard and he's getting all the results. So just don't compare, because every person is going through a different period. When that person goes through Saturn period, he will get what he deserves. So this is the time when you need to be very patient, keep working hard, take up more responsibilities, be disciplined, and don't expect immediate results, because Saturn is a slow planet and it keeps monitoring you for a while. So do not expect immediate results. It is like also following the quote of Bhagavad Gita, Karm Kar Phal ki Ichha Mat Kar. So coming to the mantra remedies, if you follow Hindu tradition, you could recite Hanuman Chalisa. You could also donate black colored clothes to the poor people, or black colored food items, lentils or seeds. And you could also feed crows, and also take care of your servants or maids during this time. If they are in need of any help or anything, be proactive and try to help them, because Saturn also represents maids and servants. Try to give them some bonuses during this time. These are some remedies which you could follow, but remember that all these remedies could reduce the ill effects of any bad transit or bad period of Saturn by only a certain level. The major thing what you have to do is a lifestyle change. As explained before, be disciplined, work hard, and take up more responsibilities. And that's it. That's the only thing Saturn wants. So keep doing that. Hope this video helped you in understanding the topic of transits, and why you should not go by the generalized predictions, and how you could analyze the impact of the transit based on your own birth chart, and the remedies you could follow, and the things you should do and shouldn't do during these periods. See you until next time.